corridor cultures, those cultures that you only hear in the corridors, usually end up affecting even your own deliverables.
It's the dominant culture.
Yeah, you find it's the dominant culture because every organization will say, "Oh, we are like a family."
No, that's a red flag.
We're like a
for me.
family. We're one big happy family in here. We love each other. We support each other. Okay.
It's giving a cult.
And then, and then the corridors say, and then in the corridors they say, "Hey, by the way, for that boss, you don't answer in the meeting. You don't talk back. You don't raise your hand. You don't question their decision. You rather do what they wanted you to do, and then it comes back wrong. Then they will correct it from their side. You know, that is what is said in the corridors." It will have made sense if, like, that is the main policy, because those corridor policies are the ones that carry heavy weight of our well-being within the organization.
But then for you, all right, hi everyone, welcome back to the Tangawizi Podcast. I am your super host, Caroline Boraya, and we are back yet again with another engaging conversation that will keep you moving.
Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast. My name is Drusilla Ogola. I'll hand it over to a guest for for the day. You can tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do. Yeah, and we can pick it up from there.
Thank you very much. Caroline Boraya is my name. I work in the development space, majorly focusing on youth. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, did you ever know there would be another Caroline?
I mean, like, I have a lot of Carolines in my life.
I hope they are awesome.
For the most part, they're beautiful, wonderful people.
Yeah. But just to put it out there, I'm Caroline with a Y.
I'm Caroline with an I.
Anyway, it's important how people want people to address you. Right?
Yes.
So are you Caroline and you're Caroline?
Do you
Caroline.
really want us to go there?
No.
Because I will tell you I'm Caroline. yeah, but I mean, it's Caroline.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Caroline. But of course, I respond when you call me Caroline.
Yes, you do.
And I think most importantly, let us just look at the topic of the day. Where we're looking at work.
Yeah.
And at some point or another, we have all had a stint in a firm, an organization, an institution.
A startup.
Where we had to get our hands dirty and get some money in the bank.
Damn,
we did. So we want to get that.
Not the capitalism.
Yes, but we have to eat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have to eat.
Good food.
Good food, yeah. We have to keep the lights on. Yeah, so it's important. And we have to be rewarded for the skills that we bring.
Yeah.
So let's just try to understand, how does work in general continue to shape who we are? And how have those experiences shaped us, with the different stints that we had wherever we did? And maybe to start us off, we can look at, from when we were younger, and you can share with us if you feel safe to, how were you socialized around work?
It's interesting, actually, because recently I found myself in a space of trying to look back how my journey has been in my career. Growing up, you're socialized and told, the mainstream careers, you're either a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, a nurse. Those are the famous ones my dad liked to quote. And because I was a very opinionated child or loud child, would be like, you need to be a lawyer when you grow up. So you go through school focusing on those major careers, like, this is what I want to do. I wanted to be a lawyer.
But
then now, for me, I had a shift in mindset from high school. And I participated in, how you have very many clubs in school, etc. So we had one called Junior Achievement. So in that club, you're taught life skills and taken through entrepreneurship. Basically, you're given skills to run a company for like 6 months, and then you're vetted. So it's what you're learning in business studies and putting it into practice. But we had add-on programs on the same club that will go through leadership skills. ETC will participate in competition with other schools. We'll have guests who'll come and give us motivation. I know people have this notion with motivational speakers, etc. But then the interesting part of it, or the highlight of it for me, was interacting with materials from a certain institution. I don't know if you're allowed to.
Yes.
At the African Leadership Academy in Joburg. That changed my mindset. Because then you're asked to ask the why until you get to the root cause of it. So it's not just, this is a blackboard, but why is it black? Or why is black the preferred color? You get an answer. You keep asking the why and why. And part of it circled around identifying issues that affect us as girls in school at that time. So the task was we had to do a research and do a research paper on the factors affecting girls in school.
And how old were you?
At that time, I was 14 actually. Wow. Yeah, so you're told to draw the problem tree and keep asking the why. If it's teenage pregnancy, why are we experiencing teenage pregnancy? Until you get to the root cause of it, not just quoting it. And then, so that led me to keep asking, why are we told to be doctors? Where are we told to be lawyers, for instance? So that participating in that research, which luckily from there I went to the African Leadership Academy in Joburg, because my research paper was the best.
Of course.
Yeah.
We are honored. I wish we had this information. We would have come with a bouquet. We are actually honored. Kwa sababu mimi at 13 sijui research.
So,
right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So that research, being at the African Leadership Academy, changed my mindset. Because you see now, our 844 system, you respond to bells. You're given a program, this is what has to happen, and you have to be followed up. There's a bell that guides you. Now it's time for break, now it's time for lunch, now it's time for siesta. You know how the 844 charade is.
Yeah.
But then at the African Leadership Academy, you get in, you're given your class schedules. You're told class begins at 9, breakfast is this time to this time. There are no bells in that school.
Interesting.
No bells.
It is in
No one, yes.
I mean, that must have been like such a cultural shock for you.
It was. No bell. No one comes to wake you up in the morning to remind you it's prep time. There is no teacher who comes in class and says, I've not seen you in class, yada, yada. You have to know, like, my class begins at 8 and I need to be in block J for my class.
Wow.
So for me, that was, for the 2 months we were there, the first 2 weeks I struggled because I'm like, there's no bell. And then, 844, most of it thrives in fear. There's that fear of, the teacher will punish me because I'm not in class. I'll be punished because I'm late. But here, nobody questions you why you're late. You'll be called later on and asked, are you experiencing any challenge? The gentle parenting that we didn't
What's the
experience.
limitation?
Are you using the podcast to kunianika? It's my favorite word, actually. If we ever work together, I ask you, what is your limitation?
So experiencing that gave me a mind shift. And part of the work we were in at the academy to do is trying to find community solutions to the problems that the community is experiencing. Again, goes back to the asking of why. Why is there this problem and why can't we find a solution? Like, keep asking the why until you get to the root cause of it. So to cut the story short, for me, from there, coming back, I knew I want to work with the community and not now the mainstream careers, because in as much as, yes, I want to be a lawyer, then what next? Do I need to do litigation, or am I going to be a different kind of lawyer? So still with that mind shift change, found myself taking a lot of volunteering opportunities. Because I came back, then volunteered to work in the community. At that time, community work was something new. People don't understand what you're doing. You're told, oh, watu wa NGO kwenda tu kwa hoteli, hoteli kubwa kubwa, kulala tu kwa hoteli, kwenda conference.
Kufanya meeting within a meeting.
Kufanya
Circling back.
Oh gosh. So, your time explaining what you're doing sounded like rocket science to many people. People really don't understand, like, oh, kazi yao ya kutravel kwenda tu kukaa kwa mikutano. But you see, by the time we are coming to that conference, we are coming to discuss an agenda. There has been a lot of work going on in the background for us to come and now say we are discussing issue XYZ and how we can provide a sustainable solution to communities. So that's how I found myself into the NGO space. But then now in the NGO space, I also needed to find a niche. I am passionate about girls and young women. And it's because I am a girl. I am a young woman.
We will not ask for your identification. So it's fine. You're safe.
So with that, and I think that time when we're doing, I still go back to that research paper. It made me realize most of the time, there are things we experience. It's because we do not have someone to either hold our hand in some of these spaces, or it's because there are systematic obstacles that really hinder us from achieving our greatness. So for me, I niched my career around working with the youth, girls and young women to be specific. And here we are.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful, interesting story. How are you socialized?
Me, I've said before. For me, I think just because I still love English, I need to put effort in learning new words, so that I can continue sounding, Yeah. But then I used to love reading in class for me. And everybody around me then told me, because you love reading, and we liked the sound. When you read, God, you're so captivating. So you should be a journalist.
Oh, okay.
So those around
Makes
me
sense.
in school were telling me, hey, that would really suit you. And then in my days, there was the late Catherine Kasavuli, Hey. And when she would come on screen, I'm like, yeah, if this is who they want me to become, I agree. And I kind of, started warming myself into being a journalist. I had, apart from Kasavuli, she was there, and I was in that village I was growing up. But in between, there wasn't anyone who now I could even ask those questions. Like, okay, what is journalism really about? What do these people really do? How do they add value to the world? There was nobody in between that I could interact. And I remember one time after I finished high school, I went to one of these media houses. I motivated myself. I was like, I'm going to walk in and try to see, can I come for an apprenticeship? Can I find somebody I talk to and they help me to navigate or understand journalism? And this guy looked at me. Then I was young and full of promise. You think I look good now?
You were good then.
Now I'm fine wine. And this guy, instead of seeing the ambition and really, moving me closer and, trying to guide me, this guy thought I would make a good girlfriend. And that's how my dream died.
Damn.
Oh, no.
The guy killed it like that. Because now this guy is cartiering me. I'm a vulnerable young girl. I'm like, so this is it. I never went back.
You left?
No, I left. I left that group. I never went back. And it's existing in spaces as such that you talk about that now helps me to see, there is more to the work exposure than just becoming a journalist. But then here we are, telling stories. I mean, we are adding value to that space.
It wasn't all bad.
So for me, that one experience of this guy trying to take advantage of me, and I was like, no, if this is what I'll be exposed to, I'm not coming back. I don't want to know journalism aside. But then at home, I don't remember us having conversations around work. I really even didn't know what my dad did until later. But I don't remember us having conversations around work, like what kind of careers. I didn't see that. Though I come from a family of people that are mostly inclined to the teaching profession, teaching and hospitality. Yeah, so I don't know how they got there, but
They are there.
They are there. They have added value to the education sector and to the hospitality sector. At great lengths. Yeah.
Interesting. I think my experience in terms of socialization around work, my earliest memory that I have is teaching chicken in the chicken house.
You are done with human beings. What?
And they would just leave me there to just do my thing.
Chicken.
Yeah, because I really admired my teachers. And in my free time, I just wanted to practice what they were doing. And I really admired like how easily they could just like narrate whatever is in the textbooks just from their head.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was like, wow, that's like a superpower to me. Yeah. Then in the house, we never really talked about work if it didn't involve like washing dishes. Yeah.
Hospitality.
Hey. Where did that get us? But we never really talked careers, but there was also room that anything you'd want to do, there was space to explore. Yeah. But to me, I feel like, okay, then an interesting thing happened. I wanted to go learn the guitar, do music for a bit. Then my dad got really angry at me. I don't know why. Killed my dream and told me to go to school. And that's how I went and learned how to teach and be a teacher. Got into education, taught for a bit. Then I remember an experience whereby I was talking to a math teacher, and she was narrating someone else's story about earning more than 35,000 shillings. And this teacher was talking about it like earning 35,000 shillings is nothing. Like, how do you earn 35,000 shillings? So to me, at that point, I was like, no, this cannot be.
Wait, like you're not supposed to earn
35,000, more than 35,000 shillings.
No way.
Yeah. So to me, I was like, where am I?
Where?
And I need to leave immediately. And I was like, okay, fine, teaching. I can always go back to teaching at whatever age I'm at. But learning new skills, I feel like when I'm young and fresh, this is when I can learn new skills. So I go for this interview. It's in sales and customer service. And the only thing I had for my boss was, trust me, I can do a good job. And yet, I don't even know how to open an email. I don't know how to answer an email. Like, I was completely, like, just fresh and just
confident.
But I was very confident. And I was like, it's going to be hard, but I can also, like, do it. And my parents at that time were like, where are you going? Just be a teacher. This is the path that is known. You'll be 50 and we'll call you teacher and we'll call professor or whatever. And so that's how I got into startup space, worked there, built my confidence, realized, kumbe, I actually have other skills that I can build on and work on. Then I met you. I met you, and you also like opened up my idea of how I can contribute more to like society, and just working in some of the projects that you've worked on. So that expanded my horizons in terms of the work that I do now. Yeah, so that's how I ended up in the work that I do, I guess. Yeah.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Hakuna mtu ameongea juu ya pesa hapa. None of you were socialized around work with the motivation of income.
No.
Never?
For me, it was never about the money. Even from socialization, it was more of societal status, like, and this is like my dad would say, he wanted to say, oh, my child is a lawyer, oh, I have a doctor, mimi ni baba daktari, you know. So it's more on that title. It wasn't even, we never had a conversation around, oh, you know, lawyers would earn this much, or doctors would earn this much, or teachers would earn this much. No, it's just that prestige of, oh, my son or my daughter is doing 1, 2, 3, yeah.
Now that you talked about, you know, that you're in the development space, how easy is it to explain what you do? Because sometimes when I meet people and I say I'm in development, they're like, oh, so you do building and construction, you know?
It's very hard.
It's very hard because even when your child is sent home, what does mama do? Mama, what do you really do? Maybe if you respond to it today, I might go back home with an answer.
It's so hard, extremely hard. Like I said, at least now there's that title we can say we work in the development space.
But what
initially it was so hard even to say, oh, what I am doing is women empowerment. And they're like, what is that? So why are you only empowering women and not men and not boys? Why are you leaving them aside?
The men are responding.
So it becomes really hard. It becomes really hard, but with time, personally, I have come to narrow it down to project management.
Okay.
I think because also my dynamics and roles have changed over time. I find myself now managing more of projects, managing people. So it's easier to explain it that it's project management than saying you're working in the development space, doing women and girl child empowerment. Then you open up another conversation of, oh, why are you leaving out boys? You're only biased towards women. So for me, I narrowed it down to project management.
Okay. So let's now come to this work environment that you're talking about. Maliza kusema I work best under pressure.
Actually, it doesn't work for me.
Mi sikukua, but najua it's a common phrase. You know, the way you present yourself to work and when you get to work, those are two different people.
Yeah.
Like, I think sometimes, sorry, we'll get back to that, but you just triggered me there. I think sometimes it's that we are pushed by the urge to make a decent living. And maybe because of scarcity of opportunities. I mean, the rate of unemployment is still very high in our country. And we all want those same jobs.
Yes.
So when we are positioning ourselves in those meetings to get the roles, we just sell a lie.
Yeah.
Like we are selling ourselves ready to be slaughtered. To be oppressed when we are selling. And then when you get inside and the oppression falls on you.
And the slaughtering
starts.
It's like, I didn't mean it like that.
I didn't. I just wanted to make a decent living, guys. Yeah? So also let's take accountability for that, and maybe we change the outlook on how we are also selling ourselves. So now we are in the workplace.
In the work.
Yeah. How were those experiences for you as a young woman?
Wow. Challenging, I must say. You know, there's this phrase I commonly refer to, just because I make it look easy, it does not mean that it's easy. Because as a young woman, when you get into this work environment, I like how you've made an example of your experience with the media. There's hungry hyenas eyeing you. This is like a young girl who's come in, yada yada. Pressure. And then there's the pressure of you trying to impress the older women that you found in this space, and then managing that dynamic also now at a personal level. For me, I've been privileged enough to have women who have been there before hold my hand and offer lots of mentorship, and guide me and say, oh, for this, in this space, this works, this does not work. This is how you can carry yourself to be taken serious. And these are the telltale signs if people are actually using you. Because the other thing you get to experience, especially in the development space, because you're not for profit, so, and you're working for community, there's a very thin line on someone wanting to exploit your work by saying, oh, it's for the good, it's the betterment for the community, yada yada. But then they also fail to recognize the amount of work and effort you put into ensuring, if it's that document or proposal, or the work that you are actually doing, you've invested so much time, you need adequate compensation for it. So there's risk, there's navigating that risk is something else also as a young woman you need to be aware of. But the major thing I would say is navigating and managing relationships in the workplace for both genders. Yes, has been the challenging part, where you're treading on a thin line, not to come out as rude to the man that you're saying no to, but still also maintain a cordial working relationship so that you continue working together after you have said the no. And also managing expectations, and whether positive or negative, from your female colleagues as well.
Sasa utafanya kazi sanga?
Sasa kwa hayo yote kazi lazima ufanye. Yeah. Na hizi lazima pia umanage. So you're constantly on the move, not in terms of movement, but your mind is constantly busy. You're navigating this relationship, and you're also now navigating the actual work
that needs to get done. Because bigger part of it, if again you're not in a cordial working relationship with the people you've said no to, the work cannot get done. So you have to manage those relationships to get the work done.
I don't want to come to work. But you see, when you say managing, unamaanisha nini? What comes with that managing, unajua, it trickles down to you as an individual. Na your personal beliefs and boundaries, and actually most of it ni boundaries. Kujua, like, if I want to do something, it has to be something that aligns with what I believe in as a person, or it has to align with my priorities at that time. I'll give you a perfect example. There is no harm with having a relationship with a colleague, but is that your priority at that time? Is it your area of focus at that time? And you cannot always be someone's. Not everybody will be your type that you want to be in a relationship with. So you're also at liberty to say no. But are the people you're saying no to able to receive the no with a lot of grace, and put that aside and say, okay, fine, she said no to the relationship, but now let's focus on the work. So the managing is knowing how to say a polite no, and drawing the boundary for yourself and sticking to it, because human beings have this nature of trying to push boundaries from when we were toddlers.
I think I'm already so stressed just listening to that.
Remember to breathe, because Tuesday we are going back to work.
Yes, I am so stressed, and it's just a hypothetical situation whereby you're supposed to think of, you want to say no. It's the right thing for everyone in that situation. But then again, you still also have to manage how they receive your no.
Yeah.
Right? So that's really chaotic on top of the actual job that you have to be delivering on. Yeah.
Na pia, you're not only female in your case, because there's also, I wanted you to speak on to the youthfulness.
Yes.
Because that's also another dynamic.
The issue of ageism comes in.
Inaitwa ageism squeeze.
Yeah.
It is ageism.
There's
going
an
really
aspect
fast.
of ageism whereby you get into a team and you need to work with these team members who are older than you. There are people who still, at that time, right now things are changing. But when I started out in my career, people still did not believe in a young person being able to effectively contribute to conversations or to the work itself. They look at you like, msichana mdogo anatuambia nini. But you'll keep
Hapa,
sisi hii kazi tumeifanya, wewe unakuja kutuambia nini ambacho ni kigeni.
But it's also a youth organization.
Sasa wewe unaanza kunikasirisha mimi. And we need to really learn.
I know. Yeah, there's the aspect of ageism which really, if again, when you're starting off, you get really discouraged. Kwa sababu uko kwa board meeting, unapeana contribution, inakuwa shut down because we ni mtu mdogo. Ukiongezea ya hilo kuwa kijana, you are a woman. You get it?
I get. Manake mimi nishawahi kuambiwa siwezi kuwa promoted kwa sababu ya my age. And it was actually an organization that is
working for
youth,
yes.
With youth, you know, on youthful agenda. And then I was running a youth program. Alafu sasa, by the time they're even considering this promotion, inamaanisha there's something I did right.
Exactly.
Before they opened
your age
aspect of it.
Yeah, and then this manager actually had a candid conversation. Said, you're very good. We like what you're doing. We like your energy. But
yeah.
And I was disheartened. Like I was lost. I didn't know. So what should I do? Must I reduce myself? Like I was so confused.
Yeah, like how do you navigate moving from that to the other side? And it's not something you can control.
I can't. If I am diligent in my work, I am diligent
in your work.
Yeah.
So when mnataka nini?
And it's very double standard as well, because on one hand you like my work, see I can deliver, but all of a sudden I'm too young.
Yes.
Which is just crazy.
And I wasn't a toddler, you know.
I mean, you're working.
Imagine I was working. And it wasn't child labor. You know, I was in the right age. So I think the youthfulness also does affect you in the workplace. And I don't know how it is now, but most of the time what I've had is Gen Z hawambiliki. Like that is the thing that people are. And is that really it?
No.
Or is it that they're demanding a different style of engagement? That
They're
those that are
actually
working with
demanding
them are uncomfortable to shift.
They're actually demanding bare minimums, to be very honest.
Damn.
Very bare minimums. For example, why would you need to shout at your colleague, irrespective of their age, whether they're 21 and you're 50? Why would you feel the need to shout? You need to work on yourself, on your emotional intelligence, to avoid shouting at people.
Unakuja sana. Unaambia mdogo wako.
We have to take accountability. Yes, because when we say in the organization policy, the lunch, we have 1 hour lunch break, and you want me to cut short my lunch hour because you feel it's urgent that we have a meeting with you, which you can easily just do an email, you know. Yeah, it's a decent.
Damn.
I mean, do you guys detest voice?
It is. That's not the case.
Caroline. Just write the email.
Just write an email. Caro, why would you want to have a 45-minute meeting wanting to give an instruction on how we are going to do something? Just write it on email. I will read and understand and execute the project. We've wasted 45 minutes you discussing one thing. Whereas I would have read that email in 5 minutes, done what I needed to do in the next 30 minutes, and move on.
But you know, when you come to the work environment, there is something that we cannot separate ourselves from, which is the work culture.
Okay.
And every institution, whether deliberately or not,
has a culture.
Has a culture. Yeah.
So there's a mainstream culture, and then there's the subtle cultures that you...
Of course. Huku.
Those the unsaid rules or the unspoken rules that you'll only hear in the corridors, which are always very dangerous because those corridor cultures, those cultures that you only hear in the corridors, usually end up affecting even your own deliverables.
It's the dominant culture.
Yeah, you find it's the dominant culture because every organization will say, "Oh, we are like a family."
No, that's a red
We're
flag
like a
for me.
family. We're one big happy family in here. We love each other. We support each other. Okay.
It's giving a cult.
And then, and then the corridors say, and then in the corridors they say, "Hey, by the way, for that boss, you don't answer in the meeting. You don't talk back. You don't raise your hand. You don't question their decision. You rather do what they wanted you to do, and then it comes back wrong. Then they will correct it from their side. You know, that is what is said in the corridors." It will have made sense if, like, that is the main policy, because those corridor policies are the ones that carry heavy weight of our well-being within the organization.
But then for you as a young woman at that workplace, what does that shape you to? What then do you become? What then are you even?
No, but I also do think the thing that's a bit disheartening is you get into these spaces, you have no idea that these are the things that are happening on the ground. So you make a lot of quote unquote mistakes, and you can imagine finding yourself in a lot of positions or situations you didn't really know how to navigate, because no one prepares you. No one tells you this is how you navigate from this to this. So even by the time you're making these mistakes, you're just in a corner by yourself. You either want to quit or even get fired, depending on, So even working around these office politics, I feel like it's a skill on its own. There are people who have perfected it. They know how to play around people. They're even reading 48 Laws of Power.
How to make friends and influence people.
Yes.
Manipulative books.
And we are well employed.
But you see, the biggest part of it is, Carol, knowing where you stand in all of this and not losing focus on the bigger picture. What is the bigger picture? Like, what is it exactly that brought you here to do? Focus on that. Do your job. At 5 or at whatever time that you're leaving, close that laptop. You can enjoy your other civil rights in your house, with your friends, with your family. But then when you get to the workplace, focus, look at the bigger picture. These other things, yes, they influence our deliverables and they affect how you get to relate with people, but don't lose focus on the bigger picture. Because a lot of times you'll find yourself, if you allow yourself to consume everything, you will lose focus, because today it's one thing, tomorrow is something else. And every day, you know how grapevine keeps evolving every day? You'll always be busy because every day there's a new grapevine, new grapevine. So draw your boundaries and know what's the bigger picture. It's this. And at the end of the day, your boss is still your boss. And you have to get the work done.
Lakini, unajua Drusilla sasa pia ameongeza issue nyingine moto. You know, it's not easy to get or to maintain the focus when, yes, we have the culture going. And now we have the politics. And then we know how, in the youthful spirit, you think there's politics there, and then there's me. But these things are intertwined. So first, what is this office politics? I think it would be good for us to, a little bit, just paint a picture. Because everybody talks about office politics. Like in e-office politics, what do you mean?
For me, I can say there's office politics stems around, there's power dynamics. There's
bad behavior pia useme. Wengine mimi naona ni bad behavior.
Kuna power dynamics, alafu kuna tu watu, yani wao hawana amani kama hawajasengenya. Yani tu, yani lazima there's that urge in themselves.
They fight
for mischief. They fight fulfillment if they've created mischief, if they have created conflict, then they are happy. Because you see, for them, that's their bigger picture. Like, I cannot really be happy if Caro is happy, let me try stir this pot a bit. It's been too quiet in here.
But we have a lot of work in our hands.
There's a lot of work, but for them, that's their bigger picture.
Wow.
Remember, I said you have to always remember what's your bigger picture.
Okay.
Yes, for them, that's the big picture. They're not. It's the adrenaline is not fed if there's no conflict, drama, or tomorrow you're not being called by the HR. There has to be like they have to keep all departments busy even when it's unnecessary.
But I also do feel like sometimes this politics comes in because we have 50 people, 100 people all trying to get to the same place, but coming from very different backgrounds. Yeah, so and they're trying to agree on something, and it comes so hard. And you can just imagine. I grew up in a family of, we were like 13 or 14 in the house, and we had to know how to do politics.
That's a corporate institution.
You were 13.
Yeah.
14 bwana, wacha kutoa umoja.
In a household, you had to navigate who showers first, who showers last. You had to navigate
Negotiation skills.
Who's cleaning the table this time round, and we'd fight. Sometimes the table is not cleaned. We are not cleaning it. So
Hata nguo ukinunua unaambia mtu ngoja, I'll give you, but wacha wajue mwenyewe ni nani.
yeah.
So you have to
Unfortunately, that's until today.
but those were skills actually.
So you can imagine now you're in an organization, you're looking at this is where we're going, and we are looking at all these different people, and that's where we're heading. And of course, we're gonna butt heads. Of course, we're gonna disagree. But the question is, even from where we are coming from, do we know how to handle relationships? For us to be able to handle relationships in the office space or in the workspace. So I feel like the problem sometimes it looks like it started in the office, but it didn't.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned it's very important for all of us to have a lot of introspection and do your own healing. You don't need to come and shout at people in the office.
But unajua sasa pia msisahau, where we have an office or an establishment, there's an element of power.
Oh, yeah.
Power is the power dynamics here.
And also demonstration of power. There are those among us whose demonstration of power is the provision of guidance. Mi tu nikuite kando, hata sikuaibishi, sionyeshi mapungufu yako kazini, but I just tell you, Caroline, if you put effort in analyzing things like this, you're set for success. And then there are others who will copy everyone. Even if they had emails of the subordinates, they would put them there, and that's when they will guide you.
Everybody knows.
Everybody knows that you are being guided. And then there are those now who will be shouting at you. Why did you hear? You can't even think. You are useless. And that is all power. So for them, that is the only way they will kind of show their relevance and make everybody around them feel like, you know what? I'm the one who's in charge here.
Well, there's that. But then now there's this other dynamics within or among colleagues, and it's not even to the upwards. A lot of politics actually happens
among the peers.
Okay.
Or in the same cadre.
In the same cadre. That's where a lot of politics happens, And by the time it trickles to the boss to come and give guidance, it's usually those who start the pot have really stirred it until the heat cannot be contained anymore. It's affecting everybody else. Yeah.
So maybe can we speak to like work environments that contributed positively to who or to the elements of ourselves that we want to continue growing?
Yeah, like I said, for me, I'm a product of mentorship. I've had amazing people, both women and men, who've held my hand and said, oh, Caro, I think where you are at night right now, if you can focus on 1, 2, 3 will help you grow. And they actually now give you that guidance on what you're focusing on, give you direction on the area you can strengthen or areas you can explore. I've been privileged enough that most of my work that I have done in different organizations or different spaces have been through referral. and not application.
What?
I've applied, I think, just one job. Yes. And it's because when you work with mentors who guide you through, and then you get to do your work diligently, people see and acknowledge the kind of work you do. So, and people who interact with different people in the space, you understand the NGO space is very small. So whatever you do in Upper Hill, someone in
Lower Hill. Equal, by the way.
yeah, in Lower Hill gets to hear about it, because again, like the youth development space is also very small.
Yeah.
People know if you want XYZ done, you can reach out to Caro, she will do it. Or we need to collaborate on something. There's that referral. So creating systems around you, and also as a person, in as much as there are people who are willing to mentor you and work with you, have a teachable spirit. Yes, that you're willing to learn and unlearn and relearn new things that will help you grow. Because then it's different. Someone volunteers to mentor you, but then you're not pulling your weight. You're not teachable. Uambiliki uko tu yani, we tayari unaona you're always right. It will not help you grow. Utabaki pale pale. Yeah.
I love it. I think the mentorship, I totally resonate with that, because even when I look at my own career growth and path, it's just people who just took a shot on me and they kept on.
Believe I'll do it.
I told my boss, trust me. And he did, and I don't think he lost. Yeah. And even him, he did believe in me. And they just bet on you, and they call out the good that you're doing.
Yeah.
And even you, I always say this, have room to learn, have like some space for curiosity. Even when you're getting into a space, don't assume you know everything. And even if you do, you feel like you know, just be quiet for a bit and listen. After you've heard, then you're like, okay, that was what I was actually missing. Yeah. So having that teachable spirit, and also just being mentored, and also it's not even the loud mentors, it's the quiet, subtle mentors.
Yes.
Yeah, because there's some who won't mentor you directly, but the way they execute their work, you're like, wow. And then from there you're able to learn a thing or two. So you really are able to like pick up things without it being outright that this person is mentoring me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, one that I have in my mind most recently is a feedback mechanism. You know the way people always talk about feedback. And I think I learned a great deal working in that space on how to give and receive feedback. Yani, I have never received and given feedback like that my entire life. You know the way you're given feedback, ile jasho ndogo
Unafanya tu hivi.
Hapo nilibant. And you're just given your feedback, you know, you also give, and you're not justifying.
Yeah.
You know, you're just taking it. And even when somebody is asking you, okay, you're giving me this feedback, could you please give me a tangible example? It's me you're talking about. You're saying I come across as rude. Could you lead me to that experience you had with me? You know, and I learned a great deal, because also in these spaces that we have privilege to work, sometimes people just use their feelings. I feel you are rude. I feel you don't listen, you know. But that space gave me an opportunity to ask the next question. When you say you feel I don't listen, could you demonstrate, you know, what is this?
Yeah.
And, you know, it could be asked both ways. So I had an opportunity to be asked as a junior, and when I became a senior person there, I was also being asked. And that was my very first work experience, where there was just a genuine feedback mechanism. And your boss would not say you're being rude, ama unauliza sana, or you don't have a right to ask. But it was just geared towards, this feedback you're giving me, I need it to translate to something.
Yeah.
If it's an action I need to take, I need a tangible experience that you're giving me in these things you're highlighting
I
about.
have a question, like how much trust did that need in that environment?
I didn't see an element of, I didn't see an element of trust. It's something I found.
Okay.
And I didn't say there were no bad days. God, they were bad days. Like there were some instances where, and you could see the humanness of people. It's not like they are bad people, but there's some calls you'd get into and it's feedback and people are daggers are up and you can see those that can change color, changing color. Those can't, you can see the fumes. It was bad. But I think it is something that was intentionally put there. It was a thing that you had to do every other time and consistently. When you're doing the big projects and the small projects.
I like
so
that.
I think they just inculcated it as a culture. And then when it came to like now maybe performance reviews and all that, even when you indicated things, you had to cite something. You can't just say that person comes across as.
You have to elaborate further.
Because the objective of the feedback was that you improve self. It wasn't to put you down. No, it was not. So I mean, it was very challenging for me coming from workplaces where fear was instilled.
Yes.
You can't speak back to your boss like that.
Actually, to me, what I think is fear is not a leadership mechanism. Like, we should just put it across.
Yeah.
In a household, in an office, wherever, in a relationship, fear is not a tool to be used to lead.
Yeah.
I don't think there's space for, like, if you want people to work and to deliver and to not leave themselves at home when they're coming to work, then you can't lead with fear. Yeah.
I think in fairness,
No.
I think in fairness to the conversation, did you at any point think that all these work experiences you are having or exposing yourself to were having a direct impact on who you are as Caroline?
Interesting. To some extent, yes. Because one thing development work teaches you is a lot of time you're speaking from a point of privilege. And for me, it has defined me in ways that I take time to understand someone's point of view before I can make judgment on either the decisions they're making or not making, and how, or whatever certain directions they choose for their lives. Yeah, it's there's that. I'll always find myself taking a pause and having a pause and reflect moment, like, okay, it's not my place to say. And the other thing is I have learned to be quiet. Yes, it's difficult.
It gets me in trouble.
You're a certified yapper.
Oh my God.
But
I should add that to my profile.
yeah, it has taught me to be just quiet and listen more. Those are the two things I have picked from, or how my career has impacted who I am. Because I used to have a lot of opinions on so many things and everything.
Well.
At some point, my dad nicknamed me Martha Karua. Our family, my dad nicknamed me that because I always took pleasure in opposing everything he said. And those authoritarian parents who thrive in instilling fear, like, what I have said is 1, 2, 3, we have to do it. I mean, he's a general. What do you expect? So
Even you are
everything. And then I was like, no.
For the fun of it.
Yeah, sometimes
to a uniform
sometimes it wasn't. When I look back, sometimes I would say I wasn't saying no because I had a justified reason why I was saying no, but I was saying no just to make him upset and to also show him that there's someone who can oppose him. I know.
Your brain was overworking.
I know. Yeah, but over time,
So do you feel like that's the energy sometimes you brought to a workspace? Like you're being guided and being given direction, and then
Si lazima.
Yeah, you're like Z.
No. I am one person who's again learned over time to differentiate the Caro me in the office and the Caro me when I'm at home. When I close my laptop, that work is done. I switch off. That's why I avoid having colleagues as friends, because again, what are you discussing outside the office? Even if I meet you for coffee, most likely, even if we try hard to discuss about Gor Mahia, we'll find ourselves going back. By the way, do you remember that concept note, yada yada, or what happened in the office, you know?
Taja pia AFC, watu wa Gor waseme.
Oh, okay. Sawa, Gor na AFC. Okay, sawa. Imebalance. Yeah, so it's difficult. So I deliberately choose not to, even if I'm not saying I'm not cordial with my colleagues. We are, but unless this person also has some level of self-awareness, that they also choose that when work is done, when we meet outside the office gate, we are not discussing work. Yes, then because it's the thing you realize with the development space, it can get into your personal life every day, anytime, all the time. So you find yourself, you wouldn't have time for your family, for your friends, just social life. You're constantly thinking about that work or that incident, etc. So it's just work. And now work becomes you and your life. But you forget the other interesting things you need to do.
Yeah.
I think you're a very reflective and wholesome human being, because for me, there is no day, even the question I've asked you, I had never thought how the work experiences impacted who I became. Sikuwahi fikiria. Because somehow, when you just start working, it's like you never stop. It's like you're moving from one project to the next, from one experience to the next.
Yeah.
So even that work environment does not give you space to sit and reflect. So you're just giving. You're like, okay, what am I really becoming?
Who are you becoming?
Who am I becoming?
Yes.
Am I becoming more privileged? Sounding more smarter? Making my village people feel like they know nothing. Because I have stepped into 2 airports in the world now, you know. Yeah, so I think even as we continue to work and be productive citizens, it's important to reflect through all these experiences where we work and we are rewarded on who are we becoming.
Yeah.
And I love what you started to say, as you know, that experience you had on asking the why. Even at work, it's important.
Yeah.
So why am I doing this?
Why are we here?
Why are we here?
Yes.
What is my big picture? Because in the absence of that, you'll be caught up in those subtle cultures, those office politics, and then you'll become the oppressor.
Exactly. It's very easy.
The oppressor of when you go to the
oppressed becomes
it's very easy for the oppressed, whether consciously or subconsciously, to become an oppressor without even knowing it, because you have consumed and allowed everything else to consume you, so you're projecting it to everybody else. But for you, it's not a big deal, because you know, when you sit in shit for a long time, you cannot
start smelling like cream cheese.
So it just becomes you and it and everything else. So unless you take the deliberate effort to step out of it and look like, okay, there's this mess, what was my contribution in it? 1, 2, 3. How can I change course? I either face left or right and change the course of it.
And also And also giving, kind of completing that cycle. So if your hand was held, the question is, whose hand
are you
holding?
That's true.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I mean that has really, and I don't know how it is in the other sectors, but I find that very more pronounced in the development space. That you'd find people that hold your hands
Yes.
to equal measure to those that oppress you. By the way, it's just
Yeah.
the real one.
It has to balance.
There has to be a balance.
Yeah. But then, because even as you're sitting here, you're the next generation of managers, you're the next generation of CEOs.
Yeah.
So what work environments do you want to create? And how do you want those work environments
To be.
to impact people's identity? You know? Do you just want to be identified as mwalimu all your life? Like,
mean-
like that was it. Like, wow,
Yeah.
what were the other aspects of yourself that you'd have still, offered the world?
Yeah. For me, I make it a deliberate effort. The girls that I get to work with, just hold their hand. For those who've worked closely with me, I'm always like, okay, where are you at your education level? Go back to school. Or you've done this, can we explore you doing something else? And we just sit down and do like a brainstorming session for them to figure out what they want to do at what point they are in their life. And sometimes it's just a conversation. It doesn't need to be like we're now talking serious.
Yeah.
Let's structure this. Let's try to do your career plan or future plan. No, sometimes you realize most of us, we just need someone to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just being that big sister to the young girls, for me, gives me that satisfaction. Yeah.
I mean, money is good, but also doing what you resonate with is greater.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I know we are pressed with the economy and we are pressed with the resources.
It's true.
Yes.
And some people are just stuck in careers that they
don't-
they are thinking,
Yeah.
we are going back to work on Monday. Oh no, not again, So I think it's important for these conversations to be held in whatever capacities, and also to just kind of unpack work from all dimensions, because work does really influence who you are.
Yes.
And you don't want your life to be just about work again.
I mean, think about your dad. Like, if they had a good day at work, how are they at home?
Imagine.
And if they had a tough day at work, how are they at home?
You would know.
Yeah.
You would really know.
Think for my mom, you wouldn't even go and open the gate. You'd rather have like the help go open the gate and give us some time to like decompress, and then now you could interact with them. So I feel like work does affect us, and I feel like we need to like humanize work.
Yeah.
Because we can't leave the whole of ourselves at home and bring just our brains at work. We bring all of us, all of who we are at work. And there has to be space for conflict and conflict resolution. Yeah. So it's, I don't know, sometimes like disagreeing at work just feels like the world is ending. Kufanyika. Like it's just a small mistake. I mean, fine, in the grand scheme of things, maybe it's not a small mistake,
But mistakes happen.
But mistakes do happen. So there has to be room for course correction and learning and unlearning. Like we can't separate ourselves. Yeah.
And even as I was talking about feedback, in this case, like what it always reminded me was that there is a day that I would be the one who makes the mistake.
Yeah.
So if I'm the one shouting, do I have the lever
Humble yourself.
to be shouted at?
Yes.
So you also have to, have that in mind.
I like the comment you've made, like we need to humanize work. And for me, whoever that is listening this and is in the development space, I would highly recommend taking care of yourself. Because you see, in the development space, most of it, we take care of others. A lot of the time is we providing care for different people in different vulnerabilities. It's very easy to forget yourself. And when you do that, the danger of it is because you've not taken time to do that self-care for yourself. Sometimes you're being toxic. You don't even know that you're being toxic, but it's because you've really just not had a place to let go. You've not had an outlet. You've not had time to even reflect and deflate in a different space. So because work is all you know, and work is all you do, then now you're bringing all the toxicity inside. There's also a reason why our bodies have an inlet and an outlet. Yeah. And if you don't, we all know what happens if you don't.
Oh, it's better out than in.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
true, though.
So you get to have the constipation. So there's also constipation of the mind and emotions. Yeah.
You need to have an
Yeah.
outlet for
You're
sure.
saying a very important thing.
Like it makes a lot of
It
sense.
makes a lot of sense. But then for me, the cross-cutting element I see in our different work experiences is that we are we are ready to pronounce the things that we are championing, but we are not willing to embody them.
Yes.
Because the first custodians of empowerment should be the immediate people, like in your house. If you're oppressive at home,
Yeah.
how can you be empowering other people's children out there?
It's
Exactly.
impossible.
It's impossible.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't do it. Yeah.
So I think it's very important, and across sectors. It doesn't have to be development. All sectors.
Yeah.
So if we are saying we are championing customer care, you can't be the one who is speaking down at people. The people you work with in the immediate
Yeah.
should feel like heard, welcomed,
Yeah.
engaged. You know. So I think it's we have to look beyond the paycheck and look at those values and mannerisms that we are putting out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that also should align to
What you
the
think?
institutions and causes we are championing.
They should leave the wall.
But paycheck, Carol,
Integrity.
Fair compensation is good.
That's true.
I'm just saying. Yes, I'm just saying because you see, sometimes people are frustrated because you're not paying them enough,
That's true.
Okay.
equating to the kind of or the amount of work you expect from them, and then you're not giving them enough compensation. So even this person is constantly trying to, because bills are running after you, everything is after you. They're also constantly seeking to find other sources that they can be able to top up to what you're giving them. So as an employer, you need to also look at the compensation package you're giving to your staff. Yeah, but personally, I'm happy with my job.
You are really protecting your bread. No, but I hear you. As much as you're putting
Points across.
jamani mshahara down. Hey, wacha.
You don't know.
Wacha tu.
We like paying our rent. We enjoy.
Lakini utamu wa kazi ni kulipwa. Usisahau.
Kabisa.
Utamu wa kazi ni kulipwa.
Tarehe ndio hizi.
Sasa mpaka mafana lose point. Sababu tu ya mshahara wa mwezi mmoja. Anyway, cha muhimu ni kwamba as much as we are putting emphasis on the employees, or the workforce, I think you're also saying equally the ecosystem that creates the work also needs to put some effort in creating suitable work environment, including pay and any other thing.
Yes.
The cultures you're talking about, the politics, so that we can embody all these positive,
Vibes.
values and vibes and create workplaces that make us thrive.
Yeah.
Where we optimize where we optimize our performance and the skills that we have, and not are suckers of conflict and toxicity.
But just to add on to what you're saying, I mean, we all like a good paycheck, but I've seen people leave organizations where they're being paid a lot because of the culture to a different organization where they're receiving less, but the culture works for them. Because essentially, they feel like in this organization, if I am a mom, they see me as a mom also. They see me as a wife. They see me as a whole individual. Yeah, other than come in, do what you need to do, go. So I feel like it has to also be holistic, because sometimes what we're offering people doesn't have to be monetary.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it goes beyond when you say fair compensation, it's just not about the money. It's if we have to spend 8 hours of our day in this office, how conducive is this environment working for us? From do we have safe water to drink? Is our environment friendly, clean itself, and other things that we get in the
majina.
Yeah, just generally like what Carol said, ensuring the environment is ideal for any human to thrive and be productive.
Jamani. Sasa ni kama imefika tu saa nyinyi kwenda kazini kupractice hizi vitu
Damn.
Practical installation. Caroline, thank you for making time and for helping us to look at work from, all those dimensions that continue to influence who we are.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun. I wish we had more time for more stories.
So unajua hiyo ndio shida utakuwa nao na HR. But because you're protecting your job, our lovely viewers, that has been our time. We have to go back to work somehow. Yes. We encourage you to continue reflecting as you continue experiencing work, and that you can still show up as a wholesome individual at work. Stay tuned. Keep it locked on Tangawizi Podcast. Bye.
Bye.